Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 49th chapter. The remembrance of Josiah is like the composition of the perfume that is made by the art of the apothecary. Apothecary is one that makes, ointments and perfumes and so on. And this is just another way of saying that it's a pleasant memory. It is sweet as honey in all mouths, and as music at a banquet of wine. This is showing, how favorable Josiah was. It says he behaved himself uprightly in the conversion of the people and took away the abominations of iniquity. Right, there's something known as Josiah's reform, where he destroyed and outlawed idolatry, right, and basically promoted the worship of the Lord, in Israel, which pleased the Lord, right? He basically cleansed Israel of a lot of the wickedness they were doing. It says here, verse 3, he directed his heart unto the Lord, and in the time of the ungodly he established the worship of God. All except David, Ezekiah, which is Hezekiah, and Josiah were defective. That's all the other kings of Judah. Some, followed the will of the Lord for a period of time, but, none with their heart fully after the Lord like these men. For they forsook the law of the Most High, even the kings of Judah failed. Therefore he gave their power unto others, and their glory to a strange nation. That's by basically the Lord giving us up to to a strange nation, to in this case the Babylonians. Ultimately, it says they burnt the chosen city of the sanctuary and made the streets desolate, according to the prophecy of Jeremiah. And that's when the Babylonians came and they did that. For they entreated him evil, who nevertheless was a prophet, sanctified in his mother's womb. That's Jeremiah. That he might not, or that he might root out and afflict and destroy, and that he might also, or that he might build up also and plant. So the Lord put the spirit on him to do that, to warrant that judgment, right? That they might be rooted out and removed from the land for a period of time. But also he would have mercy, right, and return them to the land, as he says, and build them and plant. Okay. It was Ezekiel who saw the glorious vision, which was shewed him upon the chariot of the cherubims. For he made mention of the enemies under the figure of the rain, and directed them that went right. And for this verse, let's pull this up. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. This is Sirach 49 and 9. Let's do it. CEBA translation. Because some translations, they have the wording and, it's a bit better there. But let's take a look here. Chapter would be better, but suppose we could read the verse. Yeah, so here in Sirach 49 and 9, it says here, he remembered the enemies in the storm and favored those keeping to a righteous path. Right, and that's ultimately, what the Lord did. Because the scriptures say that the Lord requires that which is past. So whether, if you're an enemy of the Lord, whether it's you've done something wicked in the past or it's now, he can judge you really at any time. But the emphasis here is on the, once I get this out of here, on the favor, right? Favor those keeping a righteous path. And of the 12 prophets, let the memorial be blessed. And the 12 prophets they're known, when you go into secular history, they're known as like the 12 minor prophets. Right here, he's referring to the prophets that are not mentioned here, as he mentioned, Elijah and Elisha and Samuel. Okay, as you go through from Sirach 44 up until now. So the 12 the 12 prophets here are known as the 12 minor prophets if you look them up in secular history. So he just doesn't list them here by name. But let me type that in here. 12 minor prophets. One second. Okay. All right. It says here, the 12 minor prophets, or the Book of the 12, is a collection of prophetic books written between the 8th and 4th centuries BCE, which are both the Jewish Tanakh and the Christian Old Testament. Yeah, here you go, right? You have Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. All right, and so collectively, he just refers to them here as the 12, without listing each one, right? But as he says, let the memorial be blessed, and let their bones flourish again out of their place. For they comforted Jacob, right? And that's by their prophecy. And that was to guide and lead Israel on the right path. Okay. So it says here, they comforted Jacob and delivered them by assured hope through their prophecy, or through their prophesying. And the bones flourish is here him just saying, right, like, may their influence endure, right, even after death. And that's also like a a blessing upon them. How shall we magnify Zerubbabel, which is Zerubbabel? Even he was as a signet on the right hand. And a signet is, type in here, is this, and this is like a authority, right? If the king gives you a signet, you can authorize, things in his name, right? When you sign off with that signet. So that was a position that Zerubbabel was in, right? He was likened onto the signet of the Lord. So was Joshua, son of Josedek, who in their time builded the house, which is a temple, and set up an holy temple to the Lord, which was prepared for everlasting joy. And among the elect was Nehemias, which is Nehemiah, whose renown is great, who raised up for us the walls that were fallen. So Joshua and Zerubbabel, during their time, the temple was built, and during Nehemiah's time, the walls that were destroyed were also rebuilt, and set up the gates and the bars, and raised up our ruins again. But upon the earth was no man created like Enoch, for he was taken from the earth. Neither was there a young man born like Joseph, a governor of his brethren, a stay of the people, a support. Okay, and he was the lifeline, really, of of the family line of Israel. That's why the Lord sent him ahead, that he may be in that position to help during the famine. Whose bones were regarded of the Lord. And he told his descendants, right? He said, when you leave here, take my bones, right, buried in the land of my fathers. Don't leave it here in Egypt. Sem and Seth, which is Shem and Seth, were in great honor among men, and so was Adam above every living thing in creation. And that brings us to the end of the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 49th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.